Seminar. In this class, we will learn about the general characteristics of the Osteichthyes and the classification of Osteichthyes, origin and evolution of Osteichthyes. And when we come to the introduction, so Osteichthyes, it's a Greek word. Osteion means it's a bone and ichthyes means it's a fish. They are also called as a bony fishes because Osteichthyes are the class of fishes which includes with a bony skeleton. Hope you all know that. What do you mean by the bony skeleton, right? Yes or no? Please answer me.
Yes.
Okay. The bony
Very good.
Yes, a bony skeleton is a rigid supportive or a protective structure which helps to protect the internal organs of the vertebrate. And the next point is, it is also the largest class of the vertebrates which consist of a more than 29,000 species of bony fishes. And now let us move on to the general characteristics of Osteichthyes. So, this Osteichthyes found in all types of the water like a marine, fresh, warm or a cold. And next, when we come to the structure of the body, it is spindle shaped or a streamlined. So, what do you mean by the streamlined? If anyone knows the answer, please answer me. So, the streamline means it is narrow at both the ends and broad in the middle. You can imagine the structure of the fish or the dolphin, okay? And the next is the Osteichthyes. Osteichthyes is having a swim bladder. The swim bladder is nothing but it is a gas-filled organ which helps to control the buoyancy of the fish. A buoyancy is nothing but it is a movement of the fishes. And when we come to the kidney of Osteichthyes, it is mesonephric. So, the mesonephric means it is one of the excretory organ which develops in the vertebrate. And they are usually embedded with three types of dermal scales. The first one is a placoid scales, the second one is a gonoid scales, and the third one, a cycloid scales, are the ctenoid scales. So, the placoid scales are the scales which is usually having a diamond shape, and they are having a spiny tooth-like projection. Example for this placoid scale is sharks. And the second one is the gonoid scales, and these scales are a rhomboid in shape and sometimes they are considered as a modification of a placoid scales. Okay, and the last one is the cycloid or a ctenoid scales. These ctenoid scales are similar to the cycloid scales except the cycloid scales are having a rough circular in outline, whereas the ctenoid scales has a comb-like projections. Okay, and here the sexes are separate and the fertilization which is usually external outside the body. And here the well-developed lateral line system can be seen in Osteichthyes. So what do you mean by the lateral line system? So this lateral line system means it is a sensory organ which is found in the aquatic vertebrates which is used to detect the movement or a vibration in the surrounding water. Okay, and some of the examples of this Osteichthyes are a catfish, codfish, sunfish, clownfish, etc. And now let us move on to the classification of Osteichthyes. So this Osteichthyes which is subdivided into two subclasses. So the first one is a Sarcopterygi and the second subclass is Actinopterygi. So the subclass first which is divided into two orders. So first order is Crassopterygi and the second order is a Dipnoi. And this subclass second Actinopterygi which is subdivided into three superorders. So superorder A, Chondroichthyes, which is subdivided into two orders. So first order is Polypteriformes and second order is Aspenseriformes. And superorder B, Holoichthyes, which is subdivided into two orders. The first order is Ammiformes and second order is Seminotiformes. And superorder C, which is Telestoi, which is it consists of 1 to 15 suborders. and I had not mentioned those suborders here. Okay, now let's move on to the Sarcopterygi and Actinopterygi. Are you listening? Are you audible? Yes, okay.
Good. Yes. Carry on, good.
Okay, the Sarcopterygi, it is a Greek word. Sarkos means it's a flesh and pterygium means it's a fin. Whereas Actinopterygi, it is also a Greek word. Actis means it's a ray and a pteryx means it's a fin. So just listen my points and see the diagram. You can see the differences between the Sarcopterygi and Actinopterygi as well as individual characteristics of this Sarcopterygi and Actinopterygi. In Sarcopterygi, they are popularly called as a fleshy or a lobe-finned or air-breathing fishes, whereas Actinopterygi popularly called as a ray-finned fishes. Okay, and Sarcopterygi has a paired fins with a leg like lobed, and whereas an Actinopterygi paired fins with a thin and broad. Sarcopterygi consists of two dorsal fins, whereas an Actinopterygi consists of one dorsal fin. And Sarcopterygi consists of a caudal fin with an epicaudal lobe. So here the epicaudal lobe refers that there is a small upper lobe of above the caudal fin in the fishes, and that is called as an epicaudal lobe here. Okay. Whereas in Actinopterygi, the caudal fin is present, but it is without an epicaudal lobe. And Sarcopterygi consists of olfactory sacs. It is usually connected to the mouth cavity in the Sarcopterygi, where in case of Actinopterygi, olfactory sacs is present, but it is not connected to the mouth cavity. So example for the Sarcopterygi is lungfish, and Actinopterygi example is American eel. Okay, and next we shall move on to the origin of Osteichthyes. So this bony fishes class Osteichthyes are characterized by a bony skeleton instead of cartilage. Okay, this cartilage can be seen in Chondroichthyes and not in Osteichthyes. Okay, and in this class Osteichthyes first appeared in the late Silurian period. So what do you mean by the Silurian period? A Silurian period means it is a geological period and found about 443 to 417 million years ago. So in this period, the sea animals really started to grow in numbers and they give rise to a clade of vertebrates. So here the clade refers that the grouping of an organism that includes a common ancestor. It can be a living or it can be an extinct. Okay, the clade of vertebrates that consist of 96% of the living fishes and living tetrapods. So the tetrapod means four-limbed animals, example frogs or lions, turtles, etc. And although it is now recognized that a bone can be seen in many early fishes like ostracoderms and palacoderms. And next we shall move on to the evolution of Osteichthyes. So before going to the evolution, just see the chart here. Okay. Yes. There are three main important eras can be seen. So the first one is the Paleozoic era, the second one is the Mesozoic era, and the third one is the Cenozoic era. Okay. In the Paleozoic era, this ancient life started. This era started about 600 million years ago and ended by 230 million years ago. During this Paleozoic era, which is subdivided into 6 geological periods. Okay, these are the 6 geological periods which come under the Paleozoic era. So the very first is the Cambrian period, and the second one is Ordovician, and the third one is a Silurian, and the fourth one is Devonian, and the fifth one is Carboniferous, and the sixth one is a Permian. So these are the 6 geological periods which comes under the Paleozoic era. And here come to the points now. Okay, and the evolution of the fishes began about 530 million years ago during the Cambrian explosion. And during this Cambrian explosion, the early chordates developed the skull and the vertebral column here. And the next is the primitive fishes. The primitive fishes is nothing but the jawless fishes, which is date back to the Cambrian period. So what do you mean by this Cambrian period? How it started? It was started with a melting of glaciers, and duration of this period is 75 million years. Okay, and the development of the algae, fungi, protozoan to echinodermata, which took place in this period. And the next point is the jawless fishes like lamprey and hagfish, they are lined almost unchanged over 100 million years ago. And the next is the Devonian period. So the Devonian period is an interval of a Paleozoic era about 360 to 400 million years ago. So once again, I'll show the picture. So yes, see this? So there is a Devonian period, and straight there is a they are named as a age of the fishes. Okay, the age of the fishes, because in this Devonian period there was a great abundance and the great diversity of the fishes can be seen during this period. So they are named. So they are called as, and this Devonian period is called as the age of the fishes. And so here, in the Devonian period, the pilocoderms began to appear and ostracoderms were abundant during this period. And the Devonian period, fishes began to develop a jaws and also the paired fins. And all four living classes of fishes and two major groups of Osteichthyes. I already told that the four living classes of fishes, once again I'll repeat. The first one is a pilocoderm, and second one is the Chondroichthyes, and the third one is Osteichthyes, and the fourth one is Acanthodi. Acanthodi and pilocoderm both were extinct, and the two major groups of Osteichthyes, Sarcopterygi and Actinopterygi, okay, were established by the mid-Devonian period. And the next is the many groups of the fishes like Osteichthyes, Chondroichthyes appeared in the Devonian period, and they all became extinct by the end of the Devonian period. And until 1938, the scientists thought that all the Crassopterygians were extinct. This Crassopterygian is one of the order of the Osteichthyes, already told that. And experts theories told that the extinct ancestors of the coelacanth. So what do you mean by the coelacanth? A coelacanth is a large bony marine fish with a 3-lobed tail fin. Okay, and which gives rise to the amphibians which appear in the fossil record at the end of the Devonian period. So after this Devonian period, the bony fishes which has continued to evolve, okay, and most of the orders of the bony fishes probably evolved during the Triassic period. So the Triassic period, before knowing the Triassic period, here one second. So I already told that there are 3 eras. So this under the Paleozoic era, and this 6 periods will come, and under the Mesozoic era we can see the Triassic period, Jurassic period and Cretaceous period, and this 3 will come under the Mesozoic era, and the last one is the Cenozoic era. Okay. And so now what is mean by the Triassic period? The Triassic period is about 200 million years ago. It is called as a Triassic period, and it is also the beginning of the Jurassic period. And the Triassic is the first and also the shortest period of the Mesozoic era. And today the Actinopterygians is a subclass of Osteichthyes, are the dominant vertebrates in the oceans and in the freshwater system. So by this I conclude my seminar by a bony fish's rate of a speciation is a gradualism, the change at a gradual stable rate. It took millions of years for the fishes to develop their body shape, a jawbone, structure and the muscles in their body. It was a long process. It did not take place over a short period of time. So their type of evolution was convergent, and bony fishes have a descendant from ancient groups of fishes but have developed certain features over time. By this we learned the various characteristics, orders, suborders, origin and also the evolution of the Osteichthyes. So these are my references, and thank you. This ends my seminar. Thank you one and all.